What's the average age that most people decide to retire? What does John see? Who does he work with? And what does their decision typically look like? And what is this the average age that's best for someone to retire? We'll work through that today with John Stillman. Start now. Welcome in. Glad to have you once again on the YouTube channel. I'm Ben George with John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management. So, John, the average age of retirement. I know everybody loves to compare, right? What is my friend doing? What is this guy doing? Where do I stand?
Yeah, so there's not really an average age. And even if there was an average, like you know how averages work, right? If somebody retires at 70 and somebody retires at 50, then the average age is 60, but that doesn't actually give us any information. So there's not an average age, but there are certain ages that get people thinking about retirement. So let's start with 59 and a half. Why is 59 and a half notable? Why this random age, Ben?
Is that because you can start taking out money from your retirement accounts without a penalty?
Right. So you can withdraw from your 401k, you can withdraw from your IRA, your Roth, no penalty, still taxed. Well, not the Roth. The Roth won't be taxed, but the IRA, the 401k, all that income you take out will be taxed as ordinary income, but no penalty. There's an extra 10% penalty if you take it out before 59 and a half. So that's the age where people say, okay, well, if I have enough saved, I could theoretically retire now and be okay. Now, you're not yet old enough for some other things that you might need for retirement. So it's a very small sector of the population that could retire at 59 and a half, but that is an age that gets people thinking about it. Another important age would be 62. Do we know what's notable about 62, Ben?
Social Security starts?
Yeah. So you don't usually want to start your Social Security at 62, but you could. I certainly have had clients who have retired at 61 or 62, and they do go ahead and turn that Social Security on the first opportunity they get. Now, you should bear in mind, you can start it anywhere from 62 to 70. You would never wait beyond 70 because it's not going to get any bigger at that point. So people tend to start it sometime in between 62 and 70, but we certainly have plenty of examples of people who have started it immediately, right when they can, at 62, or as late as possible at 70. I could give you a dozen examples from our client base at each end of the spectrum there. All right. What about 65? Why does 65 matter? And I think, by the way, 65 was kind of the traditional retirement age for probably 50 years. A lot of people considered 65 retirement age. There's really only one reason that 65 would still be important now, Ben, and that is...
Is that Medicare?
It's Medicare age.
Yeah.
So people are funny about paying for their own health insurance. If you've had company coverage for your health insurance for your entire life, it's this weird mental thing that people don't want to do to move to paying for their own health insurance. Like, I know a lot of people, they might have a couple $1 million, well more than they're going to need for their retirement. And I say, well, you could go ahead and retire now at 63. Well, yeah, but I'm not Medicare age yet. Well, okay, but you have money, and health insurance is just a thing you can buy. So you can just buy your own health insurance, even if it costs you $1,500 a month for a couple of years. If that's easily managed within your income plan by what you have saved, why not do it? But people don't think that way. So often people are not going to retire, even if all the other numbers work. They're not going to retire until 65 because they want that Medicare coverage. So even though 65 really only matters for that one specific issue, Medicare, that tends to be a popular age for a lot of people who really could have retired a little bit earlier but didn't. So then you go up to 66, 67, or somewhere in between 66 and 67, depending on your birth date. This is going to be your full retirement age for Social Security. So it could be that you want to continue to work. You want to retire from your career, but you want to get another job doing something. Well, if you're going to do that, you're either going to need to wait until your full retirement age, or you're going to need to keep your earnings below not much over $20,000 a year. Otherwise, you're not going to get all of your Social Security benefit while working. Once you hit your full retirement age, then you can earn as much as you want while still getting your full Social Security benefit. So let's say you have a job making $100,000 a year, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to get $30,000 a year from my Social Security. If I start that now, why don't I go ahead and turn that on, and I'll do something. I'll go work part-time and make $70,000 a year. And I'm back to my $100,000. I haven't had a dip in my income. That only works if you're full retirement age. If you're 65 and you're doing that, you're not going to get all your Social Security. If you're 68, you can do that because you've already passed your full retirement age. So again, there's no average age, but there are these milestones that get people thinking about retirement. Now, there's this other interesting wild card we'll throw in, Ben.
Okay.
And it's not an age, but for state employees, we have a lot of folks where, if they hit that 20-year mark or 30-year mark with the state of North Carolina, or, some of our clients in other states, most states, when you hit that 30-year mark, you get a big step up in your pension. And so if you have 30 years of service, maybe as a nurse or a teacher or anything like that within the state of North Carolina as a state employee, you might retire at 54 and have a pretty nice pension. And then again, you might go do something part-time. You're not old enough for Social Security at that point. You're not even old enough to pull money from your retirement accounts. But if your pension is enough, maybe you have a spouse that's still working. Certainly, we know a lot of people who are retiring in their 50s because of that. They're probably not done working altogether, but they are stepping away from the career. So that's my, 8-minute non-answer to your question about what is the average retirement age.
And it makes sense, right? I mean, the longer you wait, the more options you have, the more income you have access to, essentially. I mean, that's, I guess, the easiest way to kind of dumb it down for the argument. But what do you see, John, with people you're working with at Rosewood in terms of their typical age? What do you see works best for the people that come to your office?
I would say most of our clients are retiring probably between 65 and 68.
Okay.
If it was like a bell curve, you're going to have the overwhelming majority of people are in that range. But again, I have people that are still working in their 70s or maybe their 80s. We have a few of those. I have folks retiring in their 50s and then figuring out what they're going to do next. Like maybe they sell a business. Maybe they're, like I said, a state employee. So it's all over the place, but that 65 to 68 range, pretty good number of people retiring at that age.
All right, John. So anybody trying to figure out that puzzle and what their number needs to be, I guess quickly, like how does that process work for you guys to help determine what's best for me?
Well, it all depends on how much income you need over and above your guaranteed income streams. So your Social Security, your state pension, if you have one, things like that. Whatever those income streams are, how much more money do you need over and above that? And then what percentage of your savings, your retirement savings, is that going to represent? And, if you only need 1% of your savings each year as income, well, that's pretty easy to achieve. If you need 10%, well, now we have a problem. So that can kind of give you an idea of where you land on that spectrum.
Okay, very good. Well, if you have a question, rosewoodwealthmanagement.com, easy place to go. Or you can call or text 800-545-2991. Good stuff, John. Hopefully this helps people kind of clarify where to target for their age range. But again, work out this with a financial advisor to make sure you know exactly where you want to retire and when you want to retire. John, thanks.
Carolina Wealth Stewards doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina. The material presented is intended to be general information and should not be construed by any consumer as the rendering of personalized investment advice.